Thank you so much for tuning in to Turning Pages. Today I had the opportunity to sit down and chat with Karen Krossing. Karen has written several novels for teens and kids. Thank you so much for joining us, Karen.
I'm glad to be here.
And as I mentioned, you've written many novels like Punch Like a Girl, Bog, and Cut the Lights. So how would you describe your work to other people?
I would say that all of my work has a social justice theme behind it. I want to write about something. So, for example, Bog is about the journey from hatred to tolerance, that sort of thing. I want there to be something meaty behind the engaging story that gets the kids and teens involved in thinking about broader issues.
Oh, right. And we get them kind of talking about it and hopefully. And as a reader, I always find it interesting to hear about an author's writing process, whether you plot your books out or just sort of go where the characters take you.
Right. And some writers talk about it in terms of, are you a plotter or a pantser, meaning flying by the seat of your pants. So I feel I'm a combination of that. I started out by writing intuitively and letting the characters lead me through the process of the novel. And the problem I found with that is that I would start to lose my plot and wander, and the revision process would be much more grueling.
Right.
So I started, when I had an idea for a novel, I would ask myself a series of questions about character, about plot, and then come out with about a 3-page synopsis, which I then expand into the story. But I don't have every detail of the story down. I have the broad strokes, which allows me to still intuit my way through the story.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. And do you write every day? Is there a certain time of day?
I write every day, maybe at least 6 days a week. I rarely take a day off because I feel that if I can keep my head within my character's story, then it's easier to keep it moving forward.
Right.
And even if it's just a small amount, even if it's just 200 words a day, if anyone can just write 200 words a day, within a year you have a full novel that you can revise. So even if you are busy, it keeps the story moving. Now, if I just say wrote on weekends, then each weekend it would be that process of getting into the character and into the story again. That's why I write every day or most days.
And I like that idea of just 200 words, and at the end of the year you'd have a whole book.
And I write pretty much anywhere. I can write in a doctor's office while I'm waiting for an appointment, or at my kids' soccer games before the game starts, or anywhere.
Oh, that's nice.
Now, I've learned to do that. Just take half an hour and write something.
Right.
If I stay in my character, I can do that.
Oh, very good. And did you always want to be an author? How did you come to choose this as a career?
Well, my mother says I did always want to be an author, that when I was very young, I was always inventing stories, 2 spoons are characters marching around, talking to one another. And apparently I wrote a lot and made up stories verbally, but I didn't really remember that as much as when I was in high school. I knew I wanted to be a writer, and then I went to University of Guelph and took English there because I wanted to write, and that was always the goal. I thought I would write when I retired, that I would always just have it as a activity I would do in my life, but then I started earlier, I suppose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, very good. And then I know you also do professional and technical writing.
Right.
Is it hard to mix the two?
No, I actually find they work well together. So I do freelance editing as well as writing for businesses and so on. And in a way, that's much easier than writing a novel. But I can't sit at my desk and write a novel for 8 hours a day. It's very, it needs time to settle and think, and then write more the next day. So I like the combination of the work, actually.
Right. Now, your newest release is Punch Like a Girl. Can you tell us a bit about the storyline or why you wrote it?
So I wrote it because, well, it's a story about Tori, who is 17, and she punches before she talks. She wants to rescue people, whether they want it or not.
Right.
So I was playing with the idea of what is a contemporary female teen hero, and just to let a little bit out of the bag. Before the story begins, Tori has experienced a sexual assault, and so she is dealing with who is she in terms of hero and victim and rescuer and so on. So that's what it plays with.
Oh, okay. Oh, very interesting. And so it is a contemporary young adult novel, but as you mentioned earlier, you've also written fantasy and speculative fiction. So does your writing process change depending on which genre you're...
Well, I still go through the same process of asking myself questions, developing a synopsis, and then intuitively writing the first draft. But I would say that with writing fantasy or speculative fiction, the difference is there's a lot more world building that needs to happen.
Okay.
So it's similar to writing historical fiction in that you need to research. Maybe I need to research troll behavior, but I'm still researching. And then I need to imagine. So for that world, I need to know what they eat, how they dress, every little detail.
Right.
So much more than goes into the book. So then when I'm writing the book, I can pick and choose which details are relevant to include, but it has to all be there in my imagination.
Right.
So that's the difference. With contemporary, if a character walks into a kitchen, you can assume certain things that the reader knows. There's a stove and a fridge and so on. But if it's a fantastical world, how does their kitchen work?
Right. Oh, okay.
Right? So there is a balance when you're writing it between what world building things to include and then the characterization and plot and so on, which is different.
Okay. Oh, interesting. And I know from your website that you also participate in writing workshops and helping young writers. Do you have any advice for aspiring authors?
I do love to work with teen and children writers, and I do a lot of writing workshops. I would say that I think, first of all, play with it. Try and write every day. Like I said, only 200 words a day gets you a novel in the end. I would say connect with other writers and share your writing with them, because other writers are going through the same process that you are of learning how to write, learning the craft. And you can form a writing group and critique one another's work and get support and get ideas, and also support through the publishing process, which can be,
a bit
difficult.
Demoralizing.
Right. So I think that finding your fellow writer is a good strategy, and then keeping at it no matter what happens. No matter what discouraging thing may happen, just keep going. There is that theory of 10,000 hours to learn a craft. So however long it takes, keep writing all the time, and you will
good
get
advice.
there.
And are you working on anything now?
I am. I have 2 teen novels in progress, and one of them, like Punch Like a Girl, is about a difficult topic. So it deals with abortion, and in between the rhetoric of both sides on the abortion debate, are teen girls that are facing challenging decisions. So what I'm doing is looking at society's pressure on an apprehensive girl with an overwhelming decision to make. So I want to, like my other books, try and write about a difficult topic in a way that is appropriate and approachable for a teen audience. And cuts through the political rhetoric around the issue to deal with individuals.
Oh, interesting. It sounds really good.
And the other thing that I'm researching right now is a YA novel on body image and celebrity culture.
Oh, wow. Another really good topic.
Yes, so.
And do you have any favorite authors you like to read?
Well, so many.
Yes, that's true.
Teresa Toten and the hero of Room 13B. Susan Nielsen, so many of her books, but the Reluctant Journal of Henry K. Larson, for example. I love Kenneth Opel and his Bat books, Silver Wing and trilogy and so on. And just every book that I've ever read, I think, helps to inspire me and my writing. So I read widely among YA, children's and adult.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, because I think sometimes we forget that authors are avid readers too.
Yes. Yes.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Okay, thanks for having me.
And stay with us. We'll be back with more Turning Pages.